3.5. This is not only the version of the new MPC software that recently came out. This is also the score that I give to this software. Out of 10, of course. Why so low? Well, actually, let me show you. There is only probably one reason why I feel happy about the release of this software. It's more of a life hack, but I will show you it a bit later. First of all, let's discuss the new features, which are only, I guess, 3. The first and the most important update is that now we can open our projects that we made in 3-point-something standalone version in the software on our computer. This is a good thing for many reasons, because you can finish your projects using some third-party plugins like Sooth2, Isotope Ozone, or anything. You can mix and master, you can export, maybe in a more convenient way, although it's quite a debatable thing. For me, it's just easier to export into my SD card and then import into Logic or Ableton or something like this. But you can just finish your projects using this hybrid approach of maybe adding some VST plugins, and this is number 2. Now they support VST3 plugins, and for me it's not big news. I even didn't know about the fact that the previous version didn't support VST3 plugins. It's such a nonsense, like a DAW in 2024 didn't support VST3 plugins. This is actually crazy. Personally, I just checked this box not to show VST3 plugins because they make a huge list of different plugins. I just stayed on my audio units. But for a lot of people all over the world, the support of VST3 plugins is a big deal, and this is new feature number 2. There is one feature that I noticed. Pardon me for using the phone like this on the spot, but if you go to Mix, and right here you can see A and B slots for different effects. And my guess that in the nearest future, when we're finally getting some MPC Live 3 or new generation of MPCs, with 4 gigs of RAM, for example, they will add this feature by default, not in controller mode, but in standalone mode. And in standalone mode, we would finally use not only 4 slots available, of course there is a life hack to send it to submix, but we will just by default use 4 slots for effects right here and then select B and add 4 more effects. I think it's perfectly possible for 4 gigs of RAM, because right now even the MPC X SE, it doesn't utilize all of its power because it's still the same 2017 version of MPC. It's not using its full potential. I guess you know what I'm saying. And I think this thing is actually it's actually saved for newer models, at least I hope so. And the third new feature is the new Arranger mode, which is not currently there. Yes, it's a very raw beta version. For example, there is a project, Arranger View. I see everything here absolutely perfect and fine, the usual Arranger like in standalone mode. In here, there is actually nothing. Let me go to my main screen, and even if I go to Arrange, there is nothing, because this is a very, very raw first steps beta program. But once they include the Arranger View into the MPC software, it will be like our point number 3, like third feature is the new Arranger mode. It's going to happen really, really soon. This is like first beta, guys. Please be patient. And I remember there was one thing I promised to show you, like my favorite life hack that I use, and it is connected with warping, because when I work on my MPC in standalone mode, which I work 100% of the time, for example, I have this just random audio loop that is here, default Elastic Pro, but this is in controller mode, in the MPC software mode. By default, it's not Elastic Pro, it's Pro 10. This is what we're used to in our standalone world. And of course, Pro 10 has a lot of artifacts, and it sounds, you know, it's just a very limited machine in terms of specs. It's 2 gigs plus some gigs are used for the CPU to run the current project and so on and so forth, to run the operation system. And the CPU for warping is left like this, you know, guys. It's not Ableton, it's not Logic where you have like 16 or 32 gigs of RAM and so on and so forth. No, it's just a standalone MPC. And let's actually compare. This is Pro 10, Elastic Pro. So what I would do, in standalone mode, I would just use my Pro 10, which is the only algorithm that I have, except for the new repitch, but it's a different story. And I wouldn't be like 100% satisfied with the quality of the audio. But then I would open my MPC Software 2.15 or something, and I just select everything, select all. Let's say it's warping, and instead of Pro 10, let me show you, where is it? Here, Pro 10, it's here, yes, Pro 10. Instead of Pro 10, that is the only available on MPC Standalone mode, I would use Elastic Pro back in the days. And when I export the project, it now uses the memory, the CPU power of the MacBook, and it sounds so much better. And now let's have some philosophical talk about this MPC Software DAW in general, because it turns out that a lot of people do not understand what MPC Software actually is. A lot of people mistakenly think that this is a real deal DAW, like the usual Logic, Ableton, or FL Studio. I take these three like for beat making, for producing music, not Pro Tools, you know, but even Pro Tools. This is not a standalone DAW, so to say. It's an extension to your MPC. And most importantly, I'm always shocked by the people who text me saying something like, I want to get this MPC software on my computer. I don't have the standalone MPC, but I want to use this. And I wonder, like, why the hell on earth do you want this unfriendly DAW? Why don't you use Ableton or something? So it's just an extension to your controller, because now it's in a controller mode. And I have a lot of students and just people that I know who need this hybrid workflow. They are absolutely crazy about their Analog Lab by Arturia or Serum or something, or Sooth 2, Isotope Zone. And yes, for them it's a saving situation when you can just work with your MPC form factor, with your usual MPC workflow, but then you go to Mix, you go somewhere to Effects, Plus, and you select not, for example, Soft Clipper by Akai, which is built in, or AF Flavor Pro, which is built in, but they use RC20 or Isotope Zone or Saturn by FabFilter or something like this. I understand this is a very helpful workflow when you have this in hybrid mode. If we compare it with Push 3, for example, which is back there. Push 3 is a controller for Ableton, and when you connect Push 3 to Ableton, you understand that Ableton is so much more than this tiny, not actually tiny, but in terms of features, this tiny Push 3. And eventually you take your mouse and you start using Ableton with your mouse and with Push 3. But with the case of MPC Software, this is the only software that I know where it's much more convenient to use it in this condensed version in this box than the full, so to say, version, DAW version on the computer. Why is it like this? I don't know, but it is what it is. And this is it for this video. Let's just continue working with our projects in standalone and controller mode. See you in the next videos.